Stay up to date on your favorite players or teams with LOLesports.com. There you can find stats, box scores, VODs, as well as hear from the pros on why they think they're poised to win the NALCS with the article, We Got This. LOLesports.com is your home for all things LCS. Now, however, let's dive into our next match. It's going to be Gravity versus Counter Logic Gaming. The last times these teams faced off was in Week 3. It's quite a long time ago. It was CLG that got the victory screen, and since then, Gravity has been going through quite a transformation.
Yeah, most notably, it's St. Vicious who said that their coach has really been working with him to change his jungle playstyle, which is actually quite a big deal to me because Saint has been playing this game for a really long time, and for the majority of that time, he's been a farm-heavy style jungler. So I'm very interested to see how these changes will manifest themselves, not only in his jungle presence, but also in the team play, and if it affects his shot calling at all.
And in the other corner of this matchup, Counter Logic Gaming was taken down by Team Liquid in our new longest game of the split in North America.
Yeah, that was definitely another one of those ridiculously long back-and-forth games that came down to the wire where CLG were just unable to finish. And, you know, despite that loss, though, they're still in second place, tied with Cloud9. CLG is still a team with one of the scariest early games in the North American LCS, and they are now a team that have shown a variety of different strategies, which allows them to be very flexible and champion select. For instance, they have had quite a few double AD compositions,
right.
And up until last week, they've had a lot of success with those.
It has been something that they have had the most success on, rather. Link on the Ezreal, usually showing a little bit better. In other regions as well, it has been. We've tried to AP Ezreal here, it didn't work for Shifter, but the other compositions of the AD for CLG work with the pushes. Alphamu roaming quite a bit. He's had MVP already a few weeks, so it's going to be tough if the bottom lanes match up coming into this match. Right now, we're going to check out the starting lineups. On the blue side, it is Gravity. Haunter in the top lane, St. Vicious in the jungle, Keen in mid, Cop at 80 carry, and Bunny Fufu on support.
And on the red side, it's Counter Logic Gaming. Up top, Zion Spartan. In the jungle, Smithy. Mid, Link, 80 carry, double lift, and support, Aframu.
And right now, we do have a technical issue on stage, so we're going to quickly send it over to our guys on the analyst desk to get their thoughts on this match.
Thank you, Riv. A little bit of an opportunity here to talk about these two teams who are sitting at the upper end of the table, so nice to watch them kind of battle it out. CLG, let's look at them first, a team that has showcased a lot of early aggression, a lot of early game leads, but have sometimes struggled to manifest that into a victory when they fall into late game team fights.
Yeah, and this is the interesting thing, I think, really about scrimmages. And I think we talked about this a little bit last week, but the general sense of scrimmages tends to be that it's obviously less intense, it's less important, and people play a lot looser. Like, you're going to have higher kill games, you're going to see players make moves that they wouldn't do in a regular match. Similarly, you have limited practice time. And so if you get a gigantic lead at 20 minutes, as CLG tends to do, many teams are going to say, well, you know what? Let's just surrender. Can we remake the game? Let's try again. We really screwed that up. And this leads teams to either like try to do really dumb things early game to like make the game close so CLG can play a mid game. But by and large, this means that CLG can't practice against good teams that put up a fight past 25 minutes because a lot of teams just literally stop fighting and just try to start over.
Yeah, they can't practice their late game team fighting in scrims more often than not because of the fact that they crush them in the first 5-10 minutes and then they're like, okay, we only get an hour to scrim.
Right.
Let's have 6 of those. Because a lot of teams are still working on their laning phase and their cohesion as a unit. And they don't get to those deep end points. And I think it's really bad. I think it's really unhealthy to have that type of play schedule because the fact that the game is not over until it is over. So you need to be able to practice that. We just saw in that game in Dignitas Coast. Yeah. Back and forth. You need to be able to play from behind because you're not always going to get ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to read too much into Link's one interview about the scrim schedule to speak
but
to the
I think it's a
entire
problem that's happened
infrastructure
for a long time, though.
There is a problem in a sense, but every team has their own goals going into a scrim.
Yes.
For one. And for CLG, their goal is to find more cohesion in their late game team fighting. And if they're beating every team in 5 to 10 minutes, they're not going to be able to practice that. I think the larger problem for CLG that they might be running into now is at a certain point, being diverse can harm you because they don't actually have a bread and butter right now. They play so many different things. Aframu says he plays like 10 different supports and scrims. And realistically, you only get so many scrims every week that if they're trying different champion picks and different compositions, how many times are they actually running the same pack of champions together to get good at team fighting with those champions? And I actually think that number is pretty low right now because they've been so experimental. I think these last few weeks of the LCS, we're going to start seeing CLG settle in on a few team comps.
Yeah, and like the last team comp we saw them run with no tank, Nidalee jungle poke, double AD carry that got blown up by Liquid and Keith's late game. It's another late game problem where it's like, how does this team, these champions that we selected for ourselves, function as a unit in the late game? They only had one frontliner, and it was Braum. It was Aframu trying
that was a weird one.
That's their only CC as well. So it's one of those things where you pick a comp that like can dominate early, you better dominate early, and you better close the game out. But they also need to know how to function in the late game. I can't stress that enough because it's something that they've struggled with for weeks now.
To his credit, he played fantastic.
He did.
That was the best one-man front line I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, he's going to do what he can. I want to talk about Gravity a little bit, though, as well, and like what their sort of one-trick pony ends up being, ironically, with their mid laner. But the thing is, they've done so darn well with these assassin-heavy team compositions where they just kind of go hard, just kind of all the time, and they dive into the back line. And there's a couple of weird things about this because, one, we're actually on 5.4 this week, which means Kassadin's pretty much out of the picture. Interestingly, because there's a break week next week, there's only 1 week of games on 5.4, then we probably hit 5.5, and Kassadin's probably back if the buffs go through. There's like a weird dynamic there where like they get half a patch back for like champ select, which is a minor point. But the other one being the fact that LS, their new coach, is actually trying to shape the way they're playing a little bit here. And Gravity, like, they found a way that succeeds. And it's Saint's going to be big. He's going to probably play Vi. He's going to dive the backline, and because he's getting gold, he's going to survive that. And Keen plays something aggressive as he's normally going to, and that's all works out, and it's nice and happy. If that changes, right, if they diversify, I mean, we saw that hurt TSM really badly. We're seeing CLG potentially misplay because they're not playing the same comps they've been playing before. Like, I don't know what we're going to see out of Gravity now, and if it's going to work.
Well, we do have some idea of what Gravity is going to do, as a key part of Gravity's plan for defeating CLG is centered on their support, Aframu.
CLG's strength is really just Aframu's just understanding of roaming and where to be. He'll make such random plays with his top and jungle early game when they 2v1, and it's up to us to just have wards out and up to us to like be ready to stop them.
Again, for those of you who are wondering what's happening right now, we are experiencing some technical difficulties. We have some connectivity issues to the local area network, so that's going to take a few more minutes to sort out. Got to make sure everybody's actually connected to each other so they can play against each other.
You would, in fact, not want someone to lag on LAN.
Lag on LAN.
That would be an awful
We had that last
experience.
April when TSM fought C9 in Earth mode.
It's awful.
It's why
Medios-
Sneaky died.
Medios' fault.
And Doom bots.
Medios, yeah.
Yeah.
Froggen's upset he's not doing well in the LCS, so he's bringing it out on us.
Back to Gravity, though, because I still want to touch on them in that they are now, they've brought in their new coach in LS, Last Shadow, and they've been putting together some interesting team comps. Definitely they're taking notes from the Korean scene.
Yep.
But they haven't had as much success, as Freak mentioned, with their more all-in comps. So it begs the question, why are we changing things up?
Yeah, we do have to note that Gravity's coach is back in Korea, but he is coaching remotely this week, Last Shadow, so he should still have a decent imprint on their picks and bans. It's something we touched on last week, actually, and I've kind of had it somewhat confirmed by other teams in the LCS that Gravity clearly has a style of League of Legends that they are moving towards. It's not the style that they were playing at the start of the year, but it's something that they want to implement, and instead of scrimming that the entire time, they are using the LCS itself as some sort of practice. When Keen played Victor, he hadn't actually played very much Victor, but it is a way they want to play as they move forward.
Just wanted to point out, on the stage behind Gravity, that's David Barbosa, who is standing in for Last Shadow as he is a remote coach.
Barbosa.
Yeah, right? It's a pretty sweet name.
Sick name.
You got to have confidence with David Barbosa standing behind you.
Yeah.
Hope he doesn't take my ship.
I do want to say, though, Jack, I actually don't know if I agree with that style of practice. I understand the theory behind it, right, where they're essentially saying that they feel like they're pretty safe. It's weird because they're in this three-way tie for 5th. They are 1 game ahead of Winter Fox, and if they lose that game, if they swap with Winter Fox, they're in the relegation zone and not, safe with an LCS spot. They're also like 2 games behind CLG, which is 2nd place. Like, there is so much room for Gravity to move up and down the standings within a single week. And it scares me to be like, okay, so we're like almost there. Let's rewrite everything and hope within 3 weeks it's actually working out.
There's 2 ways to look at this, in a sense. They're a middle-of-the-pack team.
Yeah.
And they actually want to do well in playoffs. So if they think the way they get there is by playing the new things, and you need stage experience on new things to make that work in playoffs, why wait, in a sense? Like, I absolutely understand that
I think the risk is getting
are two
relegated.
sides for it. The risk would be they're 6-6. I think these guys are relatively safe from that right now, especially since they've had a few more weeks to get going. We've seen some of it working. Like, yes, I didn't think St. Fish's in Italy play was very good, but then the next game, Bunny Fufu's Vagar was awesome.
Yeah, it's an interesting predicament, and we're seeing it in other teams as well, as we've noticed with TSM, right? They're looking to branch out, and we've seen some faltering there. And then CLG, we're seeing them falter as well. So multiple teams at the top end of the table are now trying to experiment, and they're having some issues. And the question really lies in when you're approaching the end of the season, that playoff run and things like that, do you fall back onto what is known, what you know can get you there, or do you experiment to try and improve?
I think it's definitely the time to experiment a little bit, because it's not just TSM and CLG. It's the whole middle of the pack. Winter Fox is doing roster shuffle. Dignitas are still finding a jungler for themselves. Like, it's not that bad to have the same roster and just try something a little different. I think it's the perfect time to do it.
I guess the weird thing for me is like, and maybe this is not the right way of thinking about it.
To be fair, Freak, I don't like the fact that they are playing things they don't have much experience with in the LCS.
Okay, that's fair.
Like, from personal opinion, I was just trying to...
I completely understand the theory behind it. I'm not saying like he's a bad coach or that Gravity are like really dumb or anything. I think my personal thought is that I don't think it's worth the risk.
Yeah.
In that if TSM's running around doing weird stuff and then dropping games because they've never played with Cassiopeia before, like, that's a free reign to like, oh, well, now we're third place. Like, now we get a really good seed in playoffs. If you want to make a good like run in the playoffs, make it to playoffs first. Like, get there and get like your fourth seed or something.
I want to jump in here because the technical issue we've been having has been resolved.
Good.
We're giving the players a few minutes to get their warm-ups in, check their key bindings, room pages, things like that, so we make sure everything's good there. So I want to refocus back in on this game in particular, because we're talking about the teams in a macro sense, but as we get into the game, Gravity versus CLG, right? These are two teams that are kind of experimenting a little bit. Do we expect Gravity to continue down this path of new picks, more strategically team-oriented stuff than more binary, all-in or not at all kind of compositions?
Yeah.
So what I actually expect from this game, even if we're just looking at the picks and bans, I think CLG might end up breaking out yet more new stuff. This time, things they might be ready to settle on. And Gravity, I think, will continue the same trends they've had for the last few weeks, whereas they will be picking potentially Victor mid. Keen has been playing a lot of it. Link could actually pick that away from them this game. He's been practicing it as well. I think we are going to see some somewhat unique feeling for the North American LCS team comps in this game.
I think a lot of that is off the back of the meta is constantly like micro-evolving. Like, one champion will make its way in that people are like, oh, Victor's good. And now people are going to be like, play Victor, and then eventually the counter for Victor is going to come up. So a lot of just mini evolutions are happening all the time.
Yeah, and it's really fun seeing that. Like, one of my favorite examples was last year where Kale became like the top pick and ban champion because like Zed was a big deal, and people finally realized like Kale straight up beats Zed 1v1 in lane, in split push, in team fights at every single facet ever, and then Kale became the best champion, whereas she had just literally not been seen the week before. And seeing that continue, like now we're seeing Victor be popular. He's a mid-range mage with no gap closing and no really engaged tools. Like, well, Siege is actually better than it was before. Like, Xerath is almost even a better first pick than he was 3 weeks ago. Like, and maybe, I don't know if Assassins are great because Zonius is easy on him, but like, the like disengagey Siege thing, because Victor can't stop that, is actually pretty good.
Well, and of course, we've seen CLG trending towards that double AD comp, putting Link on Ezreal a couple times. So, taking notes from other regions as well. They're one of the teams that seems to really love that, but it begs the question, can they create the front line and the team comp around the two, which they were unsuccessful in doing in their last game?
Certainly they can. I mean,
They've done it before.
Yeah, it's an adaptive thing, right? Like CLG, they'll be like, okay, well, that was wrong. We made some mistakes here. The lack of a front line or the lack of engage or we misplayed it and didn't siege when we should have. Like, oh, we missed the Ezra power spike and didn't use it. Like, there's all these things that you can fix as a team. I mean, I do expect growth from both these squads. I think CLG will do better. I think Gravity will look better than they did when they had that really disappointing loss to Liquid last week.
Yeah, well, CLG had such an amazing start to the season. But if we actually just look at a small snapshot and we're like really picky with the games we're choosing, CLG has technically lost 3 of their last 5. It is actually time for them to settle in a little bit on the stuff that was working and go at it. Yes, they've placed against some pretty bad teams. They lost to TSM, Cloud9,
TSM,
and
C9.
Team Liquid. And from here on out, the schedule looks easier, and maybe they'll see that other win streak. But from a mentality standpoint, if you're thinking about actually winning in the LCS, sometimes losing a packet of games really impacts the way you think about League of Legends. And I've said it both ways, but CLG needs to start settling in on stuff.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see if they can do that because this is one of those upper echelon teams. The technical issue has been resolved, so the teams are ready to get into the game, and we're going to send it back over to the guys on the caster desk.
Thank you, gentlemen. Amazing conversation, awesome insight, and we are just about ready to get into Champion Select with these teams. Let's get this one loaded, locked and loaded, and ready to hit the Rift. It's going to be an amazing games, as the team said. Does CLG kind of, go back to what they know? Do they experiment? And same thing with Gravity.
They definitely have the fan support here.
Yes. Boom.
All right, so
Love in
no
the air.
double lift Callista this time around. Definitely. This is actually 5.4 as well, where her mobility was taken down a little bit.
Concentration from the AD carries, suiting up. The supports as well as Rumble gets banned out. Not going to see that from Zion Spartan. Even in the 2v1 situation, he can fare very well for himself on that champion. Not many can. Kennen gets banned out. A lot of top laners focused to him. And Zed as well. So no power from that mid lane. LeBlanc actually may be left up.
Yeah.
Link on this side. We'll have to see what they decide to pick last.
Lissandra is still up.
That
and
too.
She is a very high priority champion at the moment. Lissandra plus Maokai, probably the 2 best for top. Oh, never mind. Lissandra is the queen.
The queen. So she is picked up and given the right to sit on the throne in the top lane for Haunser. Most likely, we have seen Bjergsen take that actually mid lane for his first play in professional.
Very well could still be mid lane, so early flexible pick here for Gravity, giving nothing away. However, hard engage definitely has been a key factor for them, securing that. The Hecarim into the Lissandra pick here from Zion Spartan and CLG. And we'll see if they are actually able to get Hecarim through the early phases of the game where he's weakest.
So that seems like a bit of a tough lane. Did we just say it was like Scarra? Was that what you wanted? Did you want Hecarim?
Well, the thing is,
Yes, sir.
it's interesting matchup because Lissandra is a control mage, and Hecarim does not usually take mobility summoner spells, so he's fairly easy to control early on before he gets to level 6 and something like that. But at that point, you have all-in burst that he can go toe-to-toe with Lissandra and try and just kill her. Similar to how like Jarvan or something tries to go all in on her.
Well,
but it is up to her use of her snares to be able to keep that Hecarim at bay.
Well, it's a control mage versus an out-of-control horse. We'll see how that lane goes if they match up. Right now, I thought we were going to see the Sejuani had a lot of play from Diamond over in EU. Very impactful as well. Seeing that rolling around solo queue every once in a while, too. But Rek'Sai gets picked up by Xmithy, and on the side of Gravity, we see the Graves Janna, a lot of power to come out and burst from that lane. Not a huge kill at level 6, but they could definitely put the AD down.
Grabbing a bit of disengage for themselves. Bunny Fufu does have the option for interrupting the engage from Hecarim. Now, Hecarim, a lot of the power comes from, especially in the later stages of the game, teleporting in with home guards. If you can tag him with something long range and stop that home guard charge from Hecarim, then it really does a big help for crushing that engage. But we'll see here. The Jinx locked in again.
Jinx locked in, Thresh as well, so there could be a lot of plays being made here with the horse hooks. What with a lock in, it will be Victor. Again, Keen is going to try his hand. This is what they took the loss to against Liquid in week 6. So we'll see if they can bring it out for a win here.
Yeah, Gravity going with a much more balanced team composition this time around. They've got St. Vicious, who, even coming from the jungle, Sejuani can be your main front line, your large tank. All she has to build is health, and she still does a substantial amount of damage. He'll probably just rush that Juggernaut on Sejuani. And Victor has a really good mid-game once he starts upgrading his personal item. It starts evolving. So...
Keep track of that
very
bit.
flexible team here from Gravity with very strong engage as well as disengage. Like the well-rounded power. However, with the Lulu plus a hyper carry, if it's a solo lane Lulu here for Link, scales really well with AP, and it can get off multiple shields. Always has the extra mobility for Jinx as well to try and get her to just the first kill to reset.
Yep.
CLG do have very strong scaling, and they can really rely on the Hecarim and the Jinx towards the late game.
Really, yeah, really nicely placed, that last pick around the composition. We've been seeing a lot of Lulus lately kind of not do too much for the team, but how this is looking to work for CLG, it should be pretty amazing if the resets happen. Now that we've got a look at our teams for this match, send hashtag GVWin or hashtag CLGWin to @LOL Esports. We'll be checking in shortly on the fan vote. I promise it won't be 0%. We are going to get into game, though. The crowd very, very ready. The team's now very ready. Let's get into the Rift.
All right, let's see here. Hecarim starting off with his Doran's Blade. Let's see if he does get to use it. Hecarim is also really good at follow jungling, the double jungle style for lane swaps, because he could just spam his Q following the jungler around. Doesn't have to take too many hits from the jungles, because Rek'Sai should be able to absorb those and heal up on the way from camp to camp. Let's see, though. Both teams looking for those deep wards to try and see how the lanes will shake out. Looks like Victor might be able to get a defensive one to see CLG's path. Not really too surprising, though. The most common path for teams nowadays. Invading for these really deep wards. The next question is, how will they work around it? Because both teams should be very well aware that these wards are placed in their red buff side jungles.
Yep. The pings go out. Everybody is privy to the knowledge as they back off here. We'll keep things safe. Remember last game from Counter Logic Gaming, we had Xmithy on Nidalee. He went a little hard in the early game, and the team actually gave up a triple kill to Liquid in that situation. We'll see if they right those wrongs here, play a safe early game, and get what they want. Right now, not so safe, but they're not really in danger either.
So right now, it looks like CLG are going to start off with Zion and Smithy in the weak side jungle. Nope, they're going to keep double up down here too. Okay, so it's just the standard lane swap for both teams here. The only difference is that CLG are starting on the enemy side of the map because they do have their duo lane down here. So a little bit safer for them, as Gravity are going to have to transition into the enemy side of the map. The Saints starting on their own blue side.
Both AD carries mirroring that wave as far as they can and allowing it to hit into the first minion. Nice job. Let's see what the push is on either side as well.
Yeah. And this is a very good way of getting Hecarim through the early laning phase. Yes, he will have sort of a stunted growth still since he's just follow jungling, but he will not be abused by one of these range mages early on. And as we said, he has a fairly fast clear speed as far as double jungling goes.
Yep.
Lissandra, not too shabby herself, though. Using her passives, she's just able to spam Qs out.
Gonna have to watch for the kill pressure and the kill focus if Zion Spartan does get the lane as well. Only has Ignite along with that teleport. So
look at this start, though. CLG are doing a strategy that we have seen a couple times so far, but definitely not becoming the most commonplace. It is one side jungle clear, and then 3-manning the dragon. And once again, the Hecarim, just the spamming, he has very good constant damage output at level 1, which very few champions do have. So CLG able to take it. The other thing to note here, Smithy, you can see him constantly using Burrow to get not only the unburrow extra damage, but also firing off the Prey Seeker every time you burrow. That's something you can easily forget. Every time you go underground, might as well fire off the Prey Seeker for extra damage. definitely does help you and takes a very small amount of time. So CLG do have that first dragon, but they will be a bit slower on the turret push. So Gravity, on the other hand, are going to get the early global gold lead with turret going down first.
Yep. And that blue buff going over to Zion. Smithy not necessarily needing it as they fly around the jungle. That'll help them to clear quicker and keep themselves out there, getting as many camps as they can.
And with CLG not reacting with having double F switch priorities and start shoving the lane, makes me think that they would just, not even going to finish it here. Looks like they want to try and get it to bounce back at them. CLG are fine with leaving that turret down, and they might want to just cultivate a safe place for Zion to farm. See if they can do this effectively, though, because currently Zion back into the enemy jungle.
Yeah, power and numbers for them. It looks like they're actually trying to catch somebody, rather the Krugs. And if anybody was coming to lane, we have the roam here from Aftermove for safety. But still, Gravity on the top side of the map. Not going to find any trouble from the 3-man towards the turret. But they, however, may get themselves this.
Well, let's see. Double Lift has decided to start pushing it now.
Yeah,
so
a little bit.
They do want to shove it into the turret. Remember the top one? Gravity can take it at any time they want because it's so low right now.
They might do that now as they see this happening in the bottom lane as well. Good call there. See 5 minutes on the clock. We'll see if the teams mirror each other. Mid lane is 30-27, so no huge lead to be had there. But Link looking to stay safe to offer that utility of Lulu in the late game. He gets a ward down towards the bottom side.
Yeah,
just going to keep it safe.
CLG, once again, in the lane swap, performing really well. Come out with the extra advantage here due to their duo staying bottom, so they got the early dragon. And Gravity, they didn't make the choice to try and rush down the turret and swap their champions over to the bottom side to try and defend the counter shove. They decided to deny another wave of minions, leaving the turret up instead. And CLG pretty much bang on even with the extra dragon buff, so a good pickup.
We'll see where they decide to go from here with all that vision in the bottom of Counterlogic Gaming. We just saw Gravity take a bit of Xsmithy's jungle. He's not going to have the Raptor buff this time. And may deny them a bit of vision here in the early game as Gravity starts to push up.
This is the tricky part where you switch back after you know you've abandoned this side of the map for a good 5 minutes. You have to play around the fact that your enemies probably left a lot of wards in your red buff side jungle. So typically we'll see a lot of sweeper activations and early pink wards being placed defensively on that side to try and clear it out.
Haunter not wanting to go too far ahead. He only has wards by red. He doesn't want to take the damage from Zion Spartan, but he's staying within that minion range for the time being. You saw him level up. Now giving a bit more respect to the situation. Smithy down towards the bottom. Looks like they'll get a clear because of this pink ward, and the vision games will start. Should see Dragon in a few minutes here, and we'll see if CLG goes right for that again.
Yeah, bottom lane fairly even here as both of them were able to get the BF sword after the swap. I think the biggest difference, though, is the top lane, because Zion, with a bit of an experience lead up there, and is almost at that level 6 point of Hecarim, which is much more threatening to Lissandra, so he doesn't get bullied. Here goes Smithy in the bottom lane, though. Good flay, counter gank.
Oh, St. Vicious with that counter. Level 4s here, double teleport the exactly the same time. Who's going to offer more? Scop trying to add a little bit. Haunter didn't really offer too much of the crowd control, and the rest of Counterlogic Gaming is able to disperse on that. Ooh, back and forth, though.
Yeah, everybody down bottom lane. Even the mid laners were thinking about roaming down, but canceled them as soon as they saw the disengage. So both teleports burned at the same time.
Yep.
I feel like that does hurt CLG and Zion a little bit more. He hasn't been able to rush to his upgraded boots and home guard anyway, though, so not going to be that big of a deal as he heads back to lane with some magic resist now.
Yeah. Got a nice wave coming at him as well here in a few minutes. If Haunter decides to give that a few Q spells and push it out. Still focusing on the bottom lane here. Afromu and double lift. Usually we've seen a lot more plays from Afromu at this point in the game. But
yeah,
they kind of stuck to their side of the map, warding in this lane.
And I want to go over that play that Afromu just headed up down bottom a little bit more, just because the timing of it was so good for Zion Spartan. Because they send their jungler down bottom, so they know the worst case scenario is an even draw like we just saw. They have Aphromoo initiated at the time where Zion had shoved a full double wave up to the turret. So Lissandra was level 4, and there was a full double wave at her turret. They forced that issue down bottom, knowing that Zion can teleport down there and not lose any minions.
Right.
Whereas if Haunter answers the teleport, he's going to lose at least a wave, maybe a wave and a half of minions up there, and he's still behind in experience. You can see Zion got to that level 6 way before.
Yep.
So Haunter definitely, even though nothing happened, there were no kills down bottom, that was a huge play for CLG, very well coordinated with all members of their team. Their top laner communicating that he had a good wave shoved up, and it was a great time to teleport and force a fight down there, and them allocating their jungler so that they knew they would not be outnumbered down there. So good coordination here in the early game from CLG, even with no first blood.
That's what we know from them, right? Keep it strong, controlled, and rotating in their favor to start. But the late game can sometimes get under their skin. Gravity can get to that point. Maybe they'll find a way around the defenses of Counter Logic Gaming right now. A bit of offense with, looks like a 600 gold lead at least. A little bit more. And Keen and the rest of the team going to push mid here. Blue buff onto Keen should make these minions go quite quickly, but doesn't look like they'll stay with him just for now. Also, I'm loving Xmithy's path of tunnels all the way through the jungle, making it easy for him to get back and forth if he needs to get to the mid lane. He can also just Void Rush right out to assist the team.
Oh, there is the Void Rush. Again, teleport's not up for either top laner. So since Gravity have decided to keep Lissandra at the mid lane, they should be able to control the vision around here. While CLG just try and poke and buy time for Zion to farm up top. He's not even shoving the wave, so they're really trying to focus farm onto Zion, and they're even okay with giving up this dragon. Right now, really all they're trying to do is delay Gravity. Because they want focused farm onto Hecarim so that Hecarim can get to the point where he can jump in. He's their main initiator coming in with home guards or being sped up by Lulu. So they definitely want him to be a powerful force. Giving up the dragon, and they've actually had him switch objectives top lane and start shoving it heavily instead of trying to freeze it.
Should be able to get some good damage on it. If not, just take the turret.
There he is, trying to shove the way into the turret before Lissandra can get there. Their teleports are synced up, so he knows that she does not have teleport and can't teleport up here to grab this wave. So he just wants it to all die to the turret in exchange for that dragon.
Good pressure here from
Interesting
Link.
head here by Link. Will they cut her off from the turret? Because they don't have really deep wards to see if Saint's there to back him up. Looks like they will try and shove her off.
Link is absolutely going for that utility kind of Lulu as well. Lucidity boots for him for those shields, the speed ups. A little bit more cooldown instead of damage in the Sorcerer's boots. So interesting build for him.
Yeah, and the solo lane Lulus, they really do need to position wisely in team fights.
Yeah.
They don't want to expose themselves because they should not be using their using her utility on herself. It should be reserved for the Hecarim and for the Jinx.
Right.
Trying to shield them and augment their strengths. We'll keep track of Link, see if he's able to keep himself safe while using most of his abilities on his teammates.
So we see what the AD carries as well, prioritizing here. Cop gives himself the pickaxe. Doublelift finished up boots on this one as well. So a little bit damage behind, but the reset could really make all the difference.
Yeah, Doublelift rushing for the Berserker Greaves rather than trying to complete a full Infinity Edge first. Go more for that flat attack damage. But again, we just saw more focus top lane here from CLG. They really want to secure a strong mid game for Zan Spartan to shine. And the Lulu roam top, Link, it didn't cost him CS because he shoved his lane first, but he was able to deny, a good half wave at least from Lissandra, further keeping Haunter down.
Wow. CS between this mid and the bottom lane. Absolutely awesome right now. Near even. Let's see if Xmithy can create anything. I think he might tunnel under the wall or just get some wards in here and see what kind of trouble he can create on the side of Gravity's jungle.
Good tunnel there to place for later use, and laying down his Sightstone wards. Once you get your Sightstone, you want to always try and keep up all three of your wards.
Easy peasy. Looking at him as well, getting a Chilling Smite item over Trailblazer.
Well, let's see. Hold on, because there could be some action. He's pulled it all the way into the bush, so there was a chance that Saint would think that it was already gone. It's not, though, and we will see if the Prey Seeker works out here. He got the small one and a level off the small minion, but doesn't get the buff.
It wasn't Dragon. Saint's going to smite it. He got it. Oh, Keen. Very, very scary there, even with the help of Saint Vicious as an ultimate just on the backside. Keen Haunter, that crowd control, very effective around the turret here, but the chaos of the horse able to kind of give him a ring around the rosy when he leaves the turret.
Yeah, and look at the difference there in top lane. All right, mid lane they're going to go for a little bit of pressure. No hook, though, so no play. Link going to try and cut off. But the difference top lane here, the 2-level advantage from Zion.
Yeah.
From all of those early stages that we pointed out.
2-level advantage, 50 CS lead. It's got to feel pretty good right now for him.
They can't do much here, so he should watch out. CLG claims yet another one of those small minions at the buff camp, though. You mentioned how at the start of the season, many patches ago here for the preseason, though, big change was to move a lot of the experience and gold off of the actual buff and onto those side minions. So it is a fairly big deal to steal those away. Nice little chunk of experience. Every little bit does count.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially around this point in time in the game, we're getting up towards where level 11 is going to be a big impact for ultimates. Zion Spartan may be the one to hit that first. Keen is close as well. He's going to make an impact. 2 minutes on to Dragon. They all have time to kind of pan out with that and maybe get one more item in the inventories. There's quite a bit of gold right now sitting on Counter Logic Gaming to spend.
Yeah, and remember, we just saw CLG putting a lot of their ward coverage efforts targeted at the second Dragon. Smithy dumped all his sight wards, double pink wards from them. Really trying to prep this bottom area because Zion now, with the home guard upgrade, teleport back active, and the extra Phage. Phage is, let's go over how good Phage is for Hecarim because of his passive and getting extra speed for it. Not only does it allow him to stick to his targets, which is obviously key as a melee carry, but gets so much more value than every other champion in the game out of that item. Let's see if he's able to make a play, because bottom, they're already expecting at bottom, and St. Vicious has gotten into place, hovering on a pink ward in the tri-bush. However, well, he is able to sneak into that side bush. I think that ward just timed out.
He might give up, or at least he's going to walk into the top side here, and they'll finally know. They will back. Finally, I think Doublelift now has enough to actually get Infinity Edge. He's got quite a bankroll in the pocket.
And again, they can commit so much up to this top side. Zion just abusing this very, very intelligent start that CLG did for their Hecarim.
This is really good by Gravity here. Doublelift wanted to back. They have 20 seconds on Dragon. They take this turret. Doublelift won't have the gold, or won't be able to finish the Infinity Edge, and they may be forced into this fight.
Oh.
They may be forced in whether they want to or not, rather. Here comes Zion Spartan. Hecarim right into the fight. He goes out the backside, and that was more of a disengage than an engage. Zion there, right outside the ring, and they can't follow up.
Well, they just blew everything to gain that position. Let's see if they can actually make something happen, because those were two very key ultimates there, as well as the home guard effects. You don't get to redo that one. And Gravity are going to chase him off. Yeah, no Lulu ultimate, no Hecarim ultimate, no home guard boost for Hecarim. And Gravity are happy to take some damage. Looks like they're going to go 50-50 on this Dragon.
Oh, St. Vicious! The smite fight going over to him once again.
And a level down.
Prey Seekers are out. Yeah, good point. Level down, less smite damage to come out, and he still grabs it with the team. Job by Gravity, kind of pull that one out of a scary situation and back into their favor.
All right. CLG, though, always rotating.
Always. when you think you have the advantage, you got to look twice, and CLG is trying to take it away from you once again. Now to the mid lane. This could drop. There was a lot of ultimates used on the last one. Actually, no, there weren't. There's still a lot of ultimates to be used, so have to be very careful.
Yeah, they really do. Caution is the key word here for CLG, because right now Victor is spiking pretty hard. He's got both of his important upgrades, as well as the needlessly large rod and the level 2 ultimate. So the damage that you get from the initial level 2 ultimate and the burn damage really, really add up.
Well, time to breathe for both teams. They get a bit of room to get what they need. Doublelift had enough gold from the BF sword to finish that Infinity Edge and grab the scepter, so it looks like he's going to favor a little bit of sustain here. Figuring he might have St. Vicious and Haunter diving straight to that back line. Still has the safety of Link he can rely on for these fights. We're watching that composition to still kind of come together as they fight 5v5, knowing they were down a bit in gold there. Did not allow them to fight for Dragon. So we see 2 over and out of Gravity. 20 minutes here. As we get into the game, the lanes pretty much fizzled out, and we're going to see who can fight better now.
Well, Hecarim working slowly towards his Trinity Force. The 2 main components completed. He should have a bigger effect next time he teleports into a fight than we previously saw. A little bit far ahead of the rest of the team, not able to coordinate with them.
He tried to bring him back.
But you saw the inklings of what's possible with this combination.
That's right. That's the thing is we get to watch too is if Zion Spartan's in the top lane and he has the back or something to get more health, then you know he's going to be flying out with home guards. So the initiation is almost foretold. It's going to be good to watch. Right now he does stay at the top lane with teleport down, so the team is ready to kite the fight on the side of Counter Logic Gaming instead of take these. Gravity realizes this and hopefully can able to grab mid. They should be able to push up the wards after this and grabbing good advantages for themselves here in the mid game. 3K gold down, but still making things work.
Yeah, good strong push mid. They do have a pretty big wave bot there that Doublelift just pressured. Meanwhile, they also got this solo farm on Hecarim that is ever important to CLG.
Keep them going. Got that Sheen now.
With the Haunter rotating down bottom, it looks like they're going to give up this mid turret as well. So CLG are able to answer back very, very quickly because of the bottom wave that Doublelift push. Good flash there, getting away from the Sejuani ultimate. Also, to note, since we just saw one of our first Sejuani ultimates, it's going to be very important for CLG to have Link standing fairly far away from Doublelift so that they both don't get stunned at the same time.
That's true.
They need Link, as we said, to really worry about his positioning for these team fights so that he's able to apply those shields and buffs.
The connect range on that ultimate is pretty decent too. If somebody near you gets hit, you're probably getting hit. Got to be very careful. A lot of damage to follow that up as well with Graves, Lissandra just constantly spitting out the DPS. And we have Bunny Fufu picking up the Magi, looking to grab some assists for himself throughout the game as well.
The Janna Magi.
Janna Magi. Back. Leave it up to Bunny. Going to try to make some plays for the team. Bigger shields, better damage.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Because the only thing he would be getting Mikhails for would be Afromu hooks.
Yeah.
Which are definitely scary and game-changing, Afromu hooks specifically, but most of the other things that you would be cleansing are knockbacks, knock-ups, maybe the Terrify from Hecarim, but nope, it's going to go for the extra ability power here.
Yep.
Try and stack up.
Triforce Spike for Zion Spartan now. Finally has that completed up. Took a little bit longer because he focused those home guards in. Got to get those. Lock under the Iron Solari looking to be built up here by Smithy versus the double AP, and Gravity looks to make a move.
Here's one of those hooks.
Smithy flashes up, the rocket comes out, the last bite's going over to Smithy on Rek'Sai, first blood, and it took a while, 22 minutes in.
All right, Afromu over the ledge. Able to hook himself a pig. They get bacon for CLG. First blood going to be down, plus top lane pressure since Zion's been pushing this whole time, and nobody really wants to fight him now that he's thriving in his Trinity Force power spike. Really, really dangerous Hecarim at the moment. Have to worry about that teleport in as well.
This is the thing. When CLG smells blood in the water, they keep going, already trying to get around and route Gravity here at this second tier turret. Looks like Keen is going to be able to stop that from doing that. Zion.
Yeah, both of them, he's just staring him down. Zion has no idea this award by Wolves saw him the entire time.
So sneaky. So sneaky.
Haunter plays it cool.
There's another hook. CLG looking to get more. That's the ultimate we were talking about. Smithy's on the front line. Afromu gets double lift out with the wild growth on. Here comes Hanser. Smithy now is going to go down. Did Aframu want the pull? Gravity actually
comes
can't
Hecarim,
follow
though.
up. Backside, Hecarim comes in. Zion Spartan can't really get the hit on. He gets focused with quite a bit of damage. They do take down St. Vicious, aching for some bacon. CLG pick up one more, and it looks like they will be forced to stop after that one. Gravity disengages.
Yeah, Gravity showing off their different layers of engages there. Able to follow up and get the initial kill. But a good flank around the back from Zion. So
Pretty chaotic,
yeah.
actually.
So here's the first layer. That's the St. Vicious ultimate, and he's able to get right back in there. But the teleport comes in, and Hanser follows it back up. So all their really big CC abilities have been used, and they know they immediately need to get out of there. They see Zion coming and try to split a little bit. Keen flashes forward there, and lasers to try and even take him out. And they almost got him out. But CLG pick up the extra kill on the way out and stick around for the red buff.
That's all he needs to do. Run in, run out, make the horse pass. He's good to go. Drive-by horsing. So CLG picks up quite a bit more. We only thought it would be that second-tier turret in the bottom lane, but it turned into an entire fight that went all the way up to Raptors. Now 3-1 in favor of CLG. 6,000 gold lead. That is growing a little too fast for Gravity.
So much here funneled onto this horse.
Yeah, 211 CS already. He's got a 100 CS lead on his lane.
Plus, look at the way he's building. Since he's facing a double AP with an AP jungler, he's building all magic resist early and just banking on the fact that he can jump to the back line to fear cop and possibly 100% kill cop.
Yeah.
If they're able to take out Graves, then everyone stacking magic resist, and rushing this locket is going to pay off because all this AoE magic damage not going to be burning very hard.
He's making a strong statement. One of the best top laners.
Another thing I like about this comp here from CLG is with Rek'Sai as their jungler, not only do they have that really scary Hecarim home guard teleport to worry about, but even the jungler can help them out with cross-map plays. They can go 1-3-1 split push really easily.
Oh,
Yeah, he's a bit
my
ahead of
word.
Monster, 3 levels, and a lot. Yep, he's dosed.
Oh,
Aframu gets the
F, what a
assist.
nice guy.
See, they wait to get
That-
Aframu the assist with the shield on his lantern.
That was a broman right there. That was nice of him. Very nicely played.
We've seen this game before. Trying to recall with Rek'Sai near you.
Oh, dear. And Price Seeker. See it on the mini-map. They're having their own mini-game now down there. Wonder when he'll actually be able to back. Looks like the top lane's going to be pushed quite a bit. Zion Spartan did not affect him whatsoever not having flash this game. He has taken control of each fight that he tries to get himself into. Not afraid. And looks like they're going to go even harder here for St. Vicious. Not many members. I saw Bunny Fufu walking up there for a second, but it looks like he turned tail. He knew this situation was going to happen. Now he gets there for the shield. The team has to gather to protect this one. Looks like they are going to leave Smithy in the bot lane to do all that he wants with this inhibitor.
Yep. Continuing on. Diligent in his split push.
Yes, sir.
Just exactly what CLG need. He even has the Krug smite on. He was able to smite those Krugs. So pretty big, on-hit damage for the turret there. Able to drop that one. Here comes the Hecarim. They should be able to finish it really quick. His home guard attack will take it down very quick. Trinity Force empowered.
Yeah.
What a play from CLG. Those are the cross-map plays that I'm talking about with using Hecarim as well as the Rek'Sai for your jungler. You have to be really worried about how many teleports you give CLG because they love making plays like that. Plus, if you try and target Doublelift and Aframu, as a lot of teams do, then have multiple people to teleport down to the bottom lane that can turn fights. But they're just going to get the inhibitor all by themselves.
Just brute forcing it. There's not much that Gravity can do. They're going to try to refight this. Keen fires out the laser.
Remand for himself.
Oh, it's Smithy. I think he's going to get himself caught. Zion Spartan needs to run the other way. It takes so long just to take Smithy out. CLG is free to do whatever they want on the other side of the map here, and they're just pulling Gravity every which way, thinning them out one by one.
Yep. Just textbook split push there. They have the extra teleport. They make use of it. Hecarim is so far ahead at this point that he just annihilates the turret and the inhibitor. Even though Rek'Sai goes down, Smithy lived for such a long time that they were able to take the top turret as well. CLG objective focus paying off, and their gold lead balloons to 10K.
So we do see, we kind of heard him talking about it on the analyst desk, does CLG kind of branch out? Do they do more? Do they fall back to comfort? Link's first Lulu coming out in the spring split, Zion's first Hacker Room, so it seems like experimenting is at least the path for week 7 again for CLG.
Yeah, I do like this one, but I mean Rek'Sai is, like, if you ban out Rek'Sai, then a lot of the cross-map play is diminished.
Okay.
But Hecarim right now, everybody's finally using him in competitive play across the different regions, and so it's finally been accepted, I guess.
I think that makes
North American
makes
top
Keen a
laners.
little sad.
People have been, people have been playing Hecarim for so long in solo queue
He doesn't get it mid anymore.
here, but took a long time for the final go-ahead to use it in competitive play. Here goes
happens.
Zion. Running in circles, okay.
Yep. He's going to be with the team. Teleports
it.
down. He's hanging around. He just wanted to do a few laps.
Man, with the Spirit Visage as well. So much healing. He can, if he has the confidence to stay in the fight,
Spirit of the Dread going to
This
give
is
him a lot
this
of
is actually
HP.
classic CLG, not new things. Zion is just posing right now. He's trying to scare them off. Zion just beating his chest, yelling at them. Buys time for the rest of the team to finish Baron, and now he goes in.
He gets to the back line. I don't think Gravity's going to have much to be able to say about this one. The
There's
Victor
the first.
lockdown is actually on the other side. Does get Alpha Ramu down 1-for-1 so far, but it does not look like Gravity is long for this world, and they will now be running back to their base. The Nexus turret is already taking damage from super minions, and they're going to have Dragon in 5 seconds if they don't just continue the push down into the base.
This may be the cleanest game that we've seen from CLG all season. They have had, really big blowout wins before, but they've always sort of made some late game mistakes that weren't the cleanest. So far this game, I think this may be the cleanest finish so far.
Right. They're not pausing, not hesitating. They go back for purchases, and they are right back in the face of Gravity. If we look on the map right now, I think there's one ward for Gravity. They have not had much or a chance to get those wards out, and if they do, they're being choked out by Counterlogic Gaming. Sweepers for 2 members upgraded, Xmithy and Alpha Ramu, doing the work to keep it clear and keep their vision up. Leaving Zion Spartan to do things like this, freely, all the way up the lane by himself, just hanging out.
He's just going to spam the recalls, rock
He's
out.
engaged once again.
All right,
Zion
they bought enough
Spartan
time.
right to the back.
Aframu with the flash hook onto Saint. They burn down the tank, and Zion zones the rest of the team. Monster was not there. He had to flash over that wall, it looks like, just to get in place. And then self-ulting instead of ulting double lift there. I mean, he's going to die on the way out.
That's pretty funny.
No exit path.
Double lift with the ever so frequent auto attack to the ward instead of the champion on A-Click.
Well, you can lifesteal off those.
This is true.
If you have no other targets.
Very
So,
true. Very true.
Might as well.
So 32 minutes in, CLG once again approaches the base. They may not be leaving this time. Oh, that's half of your HP. He also had health picks on there for a little bit extra damage.
Yeah, this is why Lulu really makes hyper carries in the late
crazy.
game.
The shield's on. That's 5 seconds of Whimsy if he wants the speed up. And it is a completely safe double lift. That's also going to be a get excited. And it's just going to be very easy for them if he can get that passive going.
All right, Baroned up minions all over the base. 2 inhibitors down, and CLG push for the finish.
It's getting a little crowded in the base, Kobe. Every which lane comes crashing in now. St. Vicious going for broke, goes for Link, and he gets swiped right off the board. They're going to try as much as they can. Haunter goes in with the Zanyas.
Double
and
goes down.
The Tome. And that may be the DPS they needed to actually finish the fight. You look
Buys the
around,
time.
and Zion Spartan's really the one to offer the next bit of damage. Keen firing the main beam, almost taking down Link, but he gets out alive.
I like that. Is it only a mean beam after it's upgraded?
Yeah, probably.
It's initially just...
It's kind of just a beam, and now it's a mean beam. There's many mean beams in League.
Just a little laser pointer at first.
Yeah. Still, you can't point it in anybody's eyes. Dangerous. We'll see this one more time.
Yeah, St. Vicious. That's why we didn't want Link staying next to double lift, but they used the full ultimate, and Link actually pops Lulu ultimate on himself, leaving nothing left for double lift. And Haunter with a full commitment. Once they're able to take out double lift, takes a lot of wind out of the CLG sails. And since they do have such a big lead, no reason to stick around inside the base and lose any more members. So just wait for a double lift to respawn. You can easily regroup. All inhibitors are exposed at this point, and the full map should be under CLG's control. So
this is crazy.
Lay down wards, grab every neutral objective.
Looking at this composition, you would not think that Gravity would have trouble at their turrets. They would be approached, they would clear the waves, Victor Laser, Graves Q, but they haven't had a chance to stop any of these waves. The way CLG got a lead and held that lead pretty much nullified this composition from Gravity a little bit.
And right back to the split push for them
right back.
as well.
Why not? Spread them thin, make it happen once again. See who they can get off the map first. Gravity hard struck for an engage here if they are spread out across the map. Ultimates are up. Bunny Fufu looking for Monsoon here to get one last disengage on to maybe peel for Cop, peel for Keen to get that extra damage in. It's looking grim, and CLG's looking to make their final move.
Slowly tightening the screws, CLG. Smithy gets up to the inhibitor, and they call Zion over with the Trinity-empowered attacks.
Oh, crushing that down. Just a few more hits. And they do respect Keen's laser.
This is a good exercise in poking and prodding for CLG without getting caught.
Right.
Effectively split pushing. And they have been able to keep it up. One inhibitor is the reward so far. Now they can collapse on Gravity. See if they actually... Oh, the hook! That'll be...
Wait, that was the disengage. Back onto Cop. He's getting hit up by Zion Spartan. Zion's forced to turn. Saint still pretty tanky, and they are trading damage back well as Hanser was the first focus. But you forgot about double lift on the back line. A double kill. That could be a triple and a quadra, but it doesn't pop hard enough. And it is going to be Link taking down number 3. CLG is going to have the base.
Yeah, congratulations to CLG. Taking it over Gravity. Second time, I believe.
Yeah. CLG taking this game back in week 3, now to week 7. Just 4 later, they did their homework, figured out what composition needed to be played. They came out with a Hacker Man, the Lulu this time, in the top and the mid lane. And it's Counter Logic Gaming will take down Gravity.
Yeah, Link showing that he plays mid lane, AD carry, and support.
And support.
From the mid lane.
That's right.
So versatility still definitely intact for CLG.
A different looking Lulu than we see there towards the early game with a bit more cool down, the lucidity, the control. He's still built in that power of the Zanyas, the Rabadons, but everything was focused on to double lift, back to the protect the double lift and let him carry like a boss with Zion Spartan also being gigantic in the top lane, just because that's Zion Spartan this season.
Yeah, once again, early stages played out really well from CLG. The lane swaps.
Yep. Wow, a lot approaching. And giving high fives to the crowd. There's that bottom lane rush hour. Ooh, wins right there. Props to that guy. St. Vicious with good plays in the early game, getting himself those smites in, controlling objectives for the team. But it just seemed like the warding CLG was able to do left Saint nowhere to go that he wasn't seen. They knew everything that he was doing, and it's hard to counter or even create your own ganks when you're always in the eyes of the enemy.
Yeah, extra mobility from CLG, constantly pressuring the map. Calm and controlled.
Calm and controlled, indeed. Methodical as well, 11-4. Like we said, once they were inside that base, they were still textbook split pushing. They could have gone straight for the turrets, but they didn't want to lose too many deaths. Obviously get a few more fantasy points for themselves. It's always nice to tack on. But we do see a little bit more versatility here from Counter Logic Gaming as they bring out, as we said, the Hacker Room and the Lulu. So what do you do next? How do you ban against this team? Something for other teams to think about. Towards the top of the list, Counter Logic Gaming looks to face Team Solo Mid in Week 8, and Team Impulse in Week 9 as well. Games for them to definitely look at along the road for them. Gravity also has Team Solo Mid and Cloud9 coming up in 8 and 9. So it's going to be a tough road. There's still those games for the top of the list teams to be played against for these guys.
Yeah, and for Gravity's side, you know, showing the power of this Victor, that's been a very popular pick.
Yeah.
In Asia especially. He did actually more damage to champions than Double Lift did, and Keen was on the losing team. So even though Victor, without those extra kills, still putting in a lot of work for Gravity.
Absolutely. They definitely wanted to put it in the composition again, playing it last week and the loss, playing it this week again. But it, like you said, it doesn't seem like the problem to that composition. Something they can definitely work on as well. When I forget who we said about it last year, but it's one of them playing good, but all of them need to come together and play good at the same time. If that doesn't happen, then Gravity isn't finding their wins, and the sum of all the parts is what they need to get that. For a first-hand account of that game, we're going to go ahead and send it down to Freak, who's joined by the Pony in the top lane.
Well, thanks very much, Riv. I'm here with Zion Spartan. So first of all, you crushed that game. Congratulations on that one. So I want to talk to you about the top lane matchup. Lane swap happened. You went Doran's Blade expecting to jungle, all that fun stuff. How did you get so far ahead of Hanser?
Well, it just so happened that every single time a play was made on the map or we swapped, it kept freezing back towards me. So I was just like, all right, guys, I'm going to freeze. This guy's not doing anything right now. So I just kept like sitting in lane, farming minions all game, and then he was not able to do anything. So I just got so strong.
Yeah, I noticed that one. So if roles are reversed and every time you went for a play, it's freezing against you time and time again, how would you have actually broken that and try to keep yourself relevant in the game?
Well, that's where you kind of just like go with your team and you kind of force pressure somewhere else so he's forced to unfreeze. And I wasn't really ever put in that situation where I was forced to unfreeze. He didn't really put pressure on the map anywhere, and it was kind of hard because he was like a level 5 Lissandra trying to roam around. So I was just able to freeze and get really, really strong, and that was really bad for Gravity.
Yeah, it worked really well for you guys, of course. So I want to ask you about a similar topic. You played Hecarim this game. You also had, so that was your first Hecarim. That was Link's first Lulu, and it was Smithy's first Rek'Sai. So 3 new champions here for CLG. We've talked a little bit about teams trying a lot of new things in like the last third of the split. Do you think new things are working for CLG? Are we going to see more innovation from you guys?
Yeah, I think we definitely are a very versatile team. I think we can, like carry through any lane. We can play so many different comps because of that, I feel. Because certain teams, they're just like limited to like mid lane pressure, top lane pressure, but no, like we can go top, mid, or bottom. So we can play like carry champions and like pressure champions at any lanes, and that means we can run like almost any comp.
Is it hard to practice where you've got to run like 5 different types of games over and over again? Is it hard to like prepare for all that?
Yeah, it's definitely hard because you have to play differently with like jungle pressure and things like that. Like you're not always going to get the camp, and you have to be able to play around that, and that's what makes everyone on our team versatile players. And I'm really looking forward to what's coming up for us.
Well, speaking of what's coming up, you've got one more game tomorrow. Then you've got a week break where some of your biggest competition, TSM and Cloud9, are heading overseas. They're getting some good practice against some Korean, some European teams. How are you going to make sure that you keep up in terms of practice and make that push for playoffs?
We're going to make sure we watch IM Katowice, of course, and we're going to just be practicing during that time. Of course, we won't be able to scrim TSM and C9, but there's still Team Liquid looking really good and some other LCS teams we can scrim, and we're just going to make sure like we're well rested and in shape for the last end of the split because that's what's going to really, really matter for us.
All right, well, Zion, good luck in the last half of your split. Congratulations on your win right here. I'm going to send it over to you guys, the analyst desk.
Thank you, Freak. And Kobe said it, one of the cleaner victories for CLG there. We always talk about, well, their team fighting isn't so great, but they never really have to team fight. Like they're winning without having to team fight. Yeah. So, I feel like at some points it's kind of a non-issue.
Yeah, in this game it absolutely was. And it could have been very scary for them. When they picked the Hecarim super early and the lane opponent was Lissandra, if those guys get isolated in the exact same lane together, Zion Spartan could have been in trouble. But as Freak noted in that interview, and Zion Spartan kept saying it, he kept getting the right waves. CLG's team was playing that swap so much better in the early, mid, and late game. It made it a completely non-factor, and it made Hecarim a fantastic pick because he doubled Lissandra's CS.
And the fact that they let the top turret fall, it was like, okay, now this is going to keep pushing. They didn't have the wave bounce back off the turret when they took it on Gravity's side. So Zion's like, free farm, free farm. Then the teleport play bottom from both top laners, even though Zion had hard pushed that wave into the turret. It allowed allowed Zion to actually be ahead, level 6 first, more pressure. Then he's able to pressure the map and roam around. And he just came up, clears the wave, freezes it again, does that over and over again.
Yeah.
And the big thing is Gravity didn't start a fight while that was happening. They never threw out a Sej ulti and got the picks because CLG is just out-rotating them.
CLG seems to have these consistently well thought out early games. The first 5 to 10 minutes, where here they decided to go for that long double jungle with the early dragon that ended up with the push on the bottom turret. Gravity, unbeknownst to this, or at least unaware of how they should react, decided to knock the top turret down to 10%, and then back off and refreeze the lane. I feel like a better option may have been to just take the turret, put pressure on the top side of the map, force Zion Spartan to come into that 1v1 matchup and take advantage of the fact that he doesn't have flash and he's still level 3-4 earlier in the game.
Yeah, it was honestly a bit of an odd choice, and there were a few odd choices by Gravity throughout that. Just on this desk, we were talking with Freak and everyone else. It didn't seem like this was a pick and ban victory by any means by CLG. We saw the team comps were like, both these team comps are pretty strong. And we were trying to figure out, is it CLG being this good at lane swaps, or is it other teams not knowing what to do? And it's a little bit of a mix of both, because CLG was doing everything right, but Gravity was making some missed decisions like the one you mentioned there.
They're very, very tiny things, too, that affect just the microcosm of the game. You clear one extra minion, starts pushing. Things like that. You don't take the turret fast enough, you back. Like, even if they had taken that top turret, his back may have not purchased him the BF sword because it was so early of a push. So then he shows up to lane, he's like, do I buy a pickaxe and show up to lane, then double lift waits until he has a BF sword, then he backs and he's more powerful than me? Or do I walk just back into lane with the Doran's blade still just to hold it? It's one of those things where you have to make those on-the-fly decisions, and they have to be right, or else they just get a tiny advantage on you and they just keep pushing it.
And it's the strangest thing, because even a 5-second or a 10-second delay can end up making such a large difference in the game. You have to be able to make decisions instantly, and that takes a lot of practice, familiarity, and what CLG has, versatility. So this was their type of game.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to give some more credit to Zion Spartan for the fact that he was refreezing the lane on his own, too, right? So we were talking about the fact that he had that long lane to work with, and he continually went out and refroze the minion wave so that he could take advantage of it later in the game and continue to build that CS lead. So good on him there, again, as well with the unique champion picks. It's nice to see them expand their pool. However, the danger, I guess, would be at some point expanding it too much that you don't have the time to be at the top level with all of them. Well, we are going to step away so I can practice pronouncing the Twitter handles for everyone that wrote into our Twitter question of the day, and then we're going to see how the new Winter Fox lineup fares against first place team, Team Solo Mid. Stay with us.
So what are you guys going to do on your break, guys?
Oh, we have a break? We have a break?
Stream. Yeah,
Oh,
for
I forgot.
Katowice.
We have a break?
We're not going to Katowice?
I want to go home. I don't have friends, dude. All I do is stream.
Here comes Zion Spartan, heckler him, right into the fight. He goes out the backside, and that was more of a disengage than an engage.
Can we fight that? Sejuani?
Yeah, you should come. You should come.
Yeah, I'm behind him. I got ulti.
Go. Sejuani, raise. I poly. Yo, Lantern, link, come here.
Baron, and now he gets to the back line. I don't think Gravity's going to have much to be able to say about this one. The Victor lockdown is actually on the other side. Saint's still pretty tanky, and they are trading damage back well as Hanser was the first focus. But you forgot about Double Lift on the back line. Counter Logic Gaming will take down Gravity.